An HTML5 mobile app targeted for the iOS operating system. If you went through the first video on creating the iOS app for Android, this is pretty similar in process. So you're going to want to have the PhoneGap folder downloaded from the PhoneGap website. And of course, inside here, we've got in the LIB folder, the iOS folder. And in binaries, again, is a create application. So what we're going to want to do is access this create application through the command line. Now, prerequisite to all this is that you have the Xcode application downloaded. Xcode is available free from the Apple App Store. You just need to download it onto any Macintosh computer. Once you have Xcode running, then you can actually create your iOS apps. So here I've got Xcode running, and the version that I have is 4.5.2. As a rule, you generally want to have the latest version of Xcode. Now, of course, again, here in the Getting Started guides, this time we're going to take a look at the Getting Started with iOS guide. And it requires Xcode 4.5 plus, and also something called the Xcode command line tools. Now, those don't download automatically within Xcode, but there are clear instructions to download the command line tools. It's very easy to do. You'll need those in order to go through this process. If you want to install on a device, you'll actually need the device and your iOS developer certificate. You can get the iOS developer certificate from developer.apple.com. There is a cost to the certificate, so you're not going to want to get that until you're ready to actually test your apps on a real device. You're just going to go here to the iOS developer program, and that'll lead you to a form where you can pay, get your own login. The other thing the developer program lets you do is distribute your apps in the actual App Store. So it's important to get that if you're going to do any iOS work seriously. All right, so back to the Getting Started. The first part of this is all about installing the Xcode and command line tools, and then downloading and installing the Cordova libraries. So we're right here, create a new project, and it wants us to open a command line to the bin folder inside iOS, inside the PhoneGap folder. So if we take a look here, we're right there, desktop, PhoneGap, libraries, iOS bin. And in here is our create application once again. So this time we're going to use our create application, give a project folder path, and then a package name and a project name. So it's going to be /create and then the project folder path. We're going to do users Mark Lassoff /desktop /hello iPhone. Then it wants the package. The package is how your application is uniquely identified on the device and also within the App Store in time. So you want to make sure this is unique. The general rule is to use a reverse URL, your URL or your website name in reverse. So we're learntoprogram.tv. We're going to do tv.learntoprogram. And then the name of the application, which is going to be Hello iPhone. And then the last argument here, correct that typo, is again going to be the name of the application. So Hello iPhone. Press enter. And it's going to take just a moment, and it's going to create the actual application folder on your desktop. There it is. You can open it up, and you can see this is just an iPhone project, or excuse me, Xcode project. There's the Xcode project folder. It's got some libraries in here, and also a www folder, which has our actual HTML5, JavaScript, etc. So now that we've created it, we've got our project ready to go. Now, if we want to, we can deploy this to our simulator within Xcode. So I'm going to go ahead and load the Xcode project by double-clicking on the Xcode project icon. So here comes Xcode, and it's going to automatically load our project in. Now, Xcode is not really an optimal environment for editing these projects. So I actually suggest you edit the project elsewhere and then only bring it into Xcode to take care of building the application and testing it. So we're not going to build it in our iPad simulator. Let's go ahead and build it in an iPhone 4.3 simulator. I'm going to click Run. It's going to take just a moment or two to build all the source files, and then we'll see our iPhone simulator appear. Now, you'll notice with iPhone I'm using the word simulator, whereas with Android I use the word emulator. And that's an essential difference between the two development environments. With the iPhone development environment, we use a simulator which simulates the functions of an iPhone. The Android development environment actually creates an Android device layered on top of your existing Windows or OS X operating system. So this is actually a more efficient approach. However, the Android approach is a little more comprehensive and will give you more accurate results. And here you can see on our iPhone simulator, there's the Cordova symbol or icon, and this is ready to go. Now we could go in here into our actual application, and here's the index.html. And we could make changes in the index.html file, which would affect what we see there when the application is built. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this long comment. That's just license information. Don't really need it. And here we have just a general HTML5 file. We've got some meta tag information. Again, our viewport information, which I explained in the last video. We have a connection to a style sheet. We don't need it quite yet for this. So I'm going to take that out. And I'm going to take out everything here in the body except for our script connection to the Cordova JavaScript. And I'm going to move that into the head just simply because I prefer my scripts be in the head of the document. And now here in the body, I'm going to go ahead and I'll write an H1. Welcome to iOS. H2. And let's put here phone gap application. All right, so we've got that. So now I'm going to build this again, but just with this little bit of content that I put here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the Run button. We'll bring up our simulator again. And there we get Welcome to iOS Phone Gap Application. So very, very quickly, we've already created an iOS application that, using the Phone Gap framework,